Hi, and welcome to Entrepreneurship Module 3. My name's Greg. It's exciting to be back with you again. So let's run through Module 3 really quickly. Entrepreneurship. We are going to first do some customer validation, but let's run through our assignments that are due this particular module. So this is a 2-week module. We have an assignment to read chapters 2.4, 5.3, 11.1, 11.3 in our assigned reading. We have our standard matching game activity, our interactive video with Alicia, and another interactive video on innovation versus boring businesses. Then we have 2 assignments, one due this week, one due the following week. The first one is in a discussion. It's a rather lengthy assignment. And the next week we have a viability assignment. Let's dig into that first discussion assignment. So let's see if we've got that first discussion assignment that we can queue up real quickly here. So this first discussion assignment has 2 components in it. And the first one is the part of the discussion that is you're actually going to post, but the second one is an activity. This activity will go live later tonight, but this activity is a CleanStart activity that you're going to conduct over a week or at least a few days. And then we're going to actually potentially discuss it later on in the semester. But the first part is really digging into what is we're going to first start exploring the viability of a business opportunity. We've been doing ideation exercises and ideation activities and learning how to dream up and brainstorm ideas really, really fast and learning how to kill off those ideas really fast. And so this discussion is to help build on that ideation activity and learning how to kill off and brainstorm ideas. So we want you to explore what is the viability of a business idea. How will your business create, deliver, and capture value? Who are your main competitors and how does your idea compare to those main competitors? Is your idea practical and achievable within your available resources? And this is a key concept. It might be a great idea, but do you have the ability, oops, I drove into editing mode there. Feasibility, do you have the ability to actually execute this idea? It may be a great idea, but it might not be a great idea for you. So do you have the resources, the skills, the capability of actually executing on this idea? So when it's feasible, is it feasible for you? There are some things that I'm just not capable of doing. I don't have the skills. I don't have the expertise. I don't have the networking capabilities to actually go out and buy those skills and expertise. So for me to actually go launch that business is probably not feasible, probably not practical. But someone else, they've got the skills or they've got the networking and they have the ability to go out and buy that skill. They got the ability to go out and buy that expertise to put together the team to execute that business. So the idea is not viable for me, but it is viable for someone else. And that's a key assessment that we have. We have to have that ability to assess, do I have the ability to execute it with my available resources, my network, my communications, my financial resources? Someone else might have that ability. So it might be feasible for someone else and it might not be feasible for me. What's the competitive advantage? What's going to make my business stand out? Is there a real demand for this? Is there a real desire for this product or service? Do I have enough money to survive and grow this business? The Small Business Administration says that the #1 reason that businesses fail is they simply run out of money. So do you have enough money to launch and grow this business? What is the unique selling proposition? So we've been brainstorming ideas and we haven't dug into, is it actually viable? So it's fun to fantasize about ideas and just dream. Dreaming is great. Dreaming is awesome. But very quickly, we need to also take that and evaluate the viability of the business, evaluate the feasibility of it for me to actually execute on it. Do I have the ability to execute? So this is the first part that we need to evaluate. So you're going to take one of your ideas that you brainstormed in our last two assignments, and you're going to post it in a discussion post, and you're going to real quickly say, what's my business model? How do I create value, capture value? Who are my competitors? Is it feasible for me to do this? What's my competitive advantage? What's the demand? What's the financial viability? And what's my unique selling proposition? Now, in a perfect world, you'll dive just a little bit deeper. You will narrow that customer segment down to a really fine-tuned pitch about who is your target customer, how are we going to reach them, what marketing channels we're going to use, what is the customer relationship, what resources do I need, what business related activities are we going to conduct to execute on this, and what's the technology infrastructure that we're going to use in order to execute this business. And that's a post that you're going to make in the discussion forums. And we'll get feedback from your classmates. They'll say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Here's an alternative way that you can do this. Here's another customer segment that maybe you might not have thought about. And so you'll get feedback on your ideas from your classmates. And this is a really valuable asset that we've got. So that's our assignment for this week. For next week, we're going to do something a little bit deeper, a little bit more analytical. And we have some worksheets for you to take a look at. The first one is the rapid experimentation loop. And let's see if I loaded that one up. I did not load that one up. So the rapid experimentation loop is right here. And this one is where we take our riskiest assumption. You can think about this as the leap of faith. So we took a look at the leap of faith in our ideation activities. And so you take your riskiest assumption, your biggest leap, and we place this right in here and we ideate around it. And then we look at what the customer behavior is, what our target metrics are. We run an experiment and a hypothesis, and then we evaluate our results and we analyze our observation. We draw insights and we update. We first describe our customer problem and our solution, and we just keep testing our leap of faith, whatever the holes are, and we evaluate the risk that's associated. What does it take? So we experiment and test, we experiment and test, and we experiment and test. And we often don't need to know the facts. So when we have this big piece of expertise and skills that we do not have, so when we've got this great idea and we don't know how to do something, maybe you're not a computer programmer, maybe you're not an engineer, so there's a key piece, a key skill set, something that's missing out of your business idea that we're going to have to go out and buy, we're going to have to go out and hire, we're going to have to bring that expertise in-house. It's a big assumption that we're making that we're going to be able to hire that expertise, we're going to be able to solve that particular problem. We're going to drop that assumption in here. We're going to assume that we've solved it, and we're going to test and run an experiment. Maybe we're going to talk to some customer focus groups. Maybe we're going to do some technical analysis, but we're going to assume that we've solved it. And we're going to run an experiment. We're going to see what the results are, observe it, and then do an analysis. This is called a rapid experimentation loop, leap of faith loop. And there's nothing wrong with us taking a leap of faith, assuming in this early phase of ideation and brainstorming that we can solve that particular problem. Now, out in the real world, we do this all the time. If you think about pharmaceutical research, when researchers of a pharmaceutical company, they hypothesize, they think that I can solve a cancer cure, And so they propose a drug pathway that they want to go do research on, and they think that they've got a cure for this particular cancer problem, and they go out and they raise a bunch of money, and they say, we are now going to go do a study, and we think that we're going to create a cure for cancer. Well, did they have the answer to that before they started their company? Did they have the answer to that before they launched? No, they didn't. They had a hypothesis that they were going to be able to solve that problem, and they launched their business. Do we do this all the time in business? Absolutely. It's part of the risk of startup companies that are out there. We believe that we can solve a problem. We hypothesize, we describe how we are going to solve that particular problem, and we make that pitch to investors. We fully, honestly, and accurately disclose it, and that is part of the research proposition, and we disclose that knowledge gap. So there's nothing wrong with not knowing all of the answers and believing that we can go hire it, we can go discover it, we can go research it, we can go develop it. When we think that we're going to create a software program, do we propose that we think that we can hire the programmers, that we think that we can create the program, that we think that we can create the development, and then do we define what all of the software development milestones are going to look like over the course of 18 months? We don't go create the program first. We say what we are going to do, we test it and we hypothesize, and then we go raise the money and we launch the company, and then we go build the software. So this rapid experiment loop is exactly what we do in the real world. We go do software development, we go do drug research, we launch and develop brand new companies. So there's nothing at all wrong about a rapid experimentation loop. And if we take a look at what our last assignment, the assignment that you'll have for next week, we look at viability, leap of faith, unique selling proposition, and is there a market? And the very first part of this assignment says, what is your leap of faith? You're going to continue your ideation skills by developing 3 potential leap of faith business concepts in part A of your assignment, and then narrowing them down to 1 idea for part B. So we're going to develop 3 leap of faith ideas, describe the problem that each business idea addresses, describe the solution about how we're solving those problems, describe the leap of faith assumptions that you propose that your business is going to solve. You're going to identify the revenue model about how your business can make money from this idea. Then for part B, you're going to create a value proposition. You're going to just take one of these business ideas, and we're going to say, this is the business idea we think we're going to run with, and we're going to create a value proposition. Now we've got 2 documents in here. They're called the value proposition canvas. And I don't have this document loaded up in a PDF form to show you, so it is sideways. But the value proposition starts on the right side of this document, which is now upside down. It needs to be flipped 90 degrees to the left, and I don't think I can flip it here. Nope, D2L will not let me flip this document. But you can download this, print it, and you can look at it correctly. So the customer, we look at the wants and the needs, the problem and the pain that this document fills, that this document is going to allow us to scribble notes on to figure out what the customer's wants, needs, and desires are. Then in this box, we're going to describe what the experience is that the customer is going to experience utilizing and consuming our particular product, and then what the benefits and the features are. This is the value proposition, and our customer is going to go through a transformational experience, and we're going to see what is the customer like before they used our product and what is the customer like after they used our product. And this is what we call the value proposition. Now you can look at it in a couple different ways. We can look at it in terms of pain, or we can look at it in terms of desire, and you can look at it in terms of are we creating a solution that's going to generate fit, customer market fit. So there's a cute little video that we've got. So the value proposition canvas explained, it's about 4 minutes long. I'm going to encourage you to watch this. It talks about what gain the customer is going to experience, what that transformational experience is going to be like, or what pain that the customer has and the solution that they're going to want. So watch this value proposition. So if you really are struggling at trying to figure out how do I create a value proposition, I'm not really sure what it is, watch these videos, work through these worksheets, and it'll really help you learn how to create a value proposition. It'll help you become better at empathizing with a customer's pain, a customer's problem, and really understanding how are we going to solve that pain that the customer is experiencing. Those are the two big assignments that we are digging through for this particular week. Now let's jump in and talk about entrepreneurship and this subject in a much bigger, broader perspective. So I love entrepreneurship. Now the challenge is that there's this old motto, and they even made a movie like it, and it's called Build It and They Will Come. Well, an awful lot of people think that that's what entrepreneurship is, that we can come up with this great idea, just go build it, and customers will flock to us. Well, that's the quickest way to disaster. If you want to build something and just hope and pray that customers will come, you're probably going to fail, because we need to look at what is the real problem that a customer is having, what is the problem that a customer is experiencing, and then we need to develop solutions for that. We want to create solutions that customers desire, customers want, that customers will actually care about and be willing to pay for. Now, this doesn't have to occur when times are good. We can have disruptive innovations even when things are not going very well. Some of the best disruptions have occurred in industries that were not doing very well, during economic times when times were really, really rough. Some of the greatest inventions actually occurred during some of the depressions that we've had throughout history. We've disrupted an awful lot of businesses that were struggling and then turned them into great companies. So we should never fear coming up with great ideas, even in challenging times. If you've got a better idea, let's go explore it. Because if you can understand what a customer's pain is, what a customer's problem is, and come up with a solution that they're willing to pay for, well, let's bring that business to market. When we think about the value proposition in the academic world, we're going to present it on something called the business model canvas. In the business consulting world, we're going to slightly change this canvas to the lean canvas model, and then we're going to change the names of just a couple of the boxes, but it's basically going to be the exact same model. The business model canvas in the academic world is something that we just build once. The difference between the business model canvas and the lean canvas model, they look almost exactly the same, but the lean canvas model is designed to be iterated over and over and over again. So if you look at the lean canvas model, we have customer segments, customer relationships, channels, and revenue streams, and it looks exactly like the business model, and the value proposition is in the middle. But the business model starts out with key activities, key resources, and who our key partners are, and we estimate costs. And so then we take revenue streams and we subtract costs, and we can do a quick back of the napkin calculation about whether this business is financially viable. Well, with the lean canvas model, we look at what the customer problems are, what the solution is, and what the key metrics are, and then we do a back of the napkin cost calculation. But we iterate this over and over and over again, because we keep taking the problem back to the customer and we go, are we solving your problem? does our solution solve your problem, and what are the key metrics? And we keep going back to the customer over and over again, and we ask them this question: does our solution solve your problem? What are the key metrics that we need to be measuring? And we go take this back to the customer, and they give us feedback, and we keep iterating this analysis over and over and over again until we're confident that we are delivering a solution that is exactly what the customer wants. And this is what we need to do in the real world. So real world business consultants use the lean canvas model. Academic world, because we want to keep it easier and simpler for you, we use the business model canvas. Are they essentially the same thing? Yes, they're essentially the same thing. You will run into people that are all uptight about, oh, the business model canvas is better. Oh, the lean canvas model is better. Well, you know what? They're exactly the same thing. One just is iterating the solution over and over and over again with customers, but we're doing the exact same process. The business model canvas, we're doing it once. But if we iterate the business model canvas, we get the lean canvas, the lean model canvas. So they are essentially exactly the same. Don't let anybody really get you too terribly upset because one person prefers the lean model canvas and another person prefers the business model canvas. Generically, I'm just going to suggest to you that we do the business model canvas in the academic world because it's simple. We usually only ask you to iterate it once, twice. We don't ask you to do a lot of customer validation and going back to the customer over and over and over again, even though we really should. And in the real world, this is your money on the line. This is your business on the line. So what are we going to do? We are going to do that customer validation over and over and over again before we launch, and we're going to make sure that we get it right. Does that make sense? I hope that's valid. So let's have a little bit of fun. We need to find out, what does the customer want? Over what time period do they want it? And what objections do they have? And then we're going to create an initial value proposition, and we're going to drop this into our lean model canvas. And then we're going to take that solution back to the customer. We're going to say, do we have it right? And they're going to go, oh no, could you do this? Could you do this? And we're going to iterate. And then we're going to do what? Take it back to the customer, see if this is what the customer wants, go through, check everything out. We're going to make any changes that we need to make. We're going to bring a new value proposition back to the customer, and we're going to get feedback. And we're just going to keep this iteration process over and over and over again until we have almost perfect feedback from the customer. And that's how we launch in the real world. Now, we want the product to be desirable for the customer. We want it to be viable. And that tells us that it's feasible. And when we get all three of these in balance, then we know that we have a feasible and viable story to tell, and we are ready to launch. If it's desirable to the customer, viable and feasible, they're willing to pay, we're ready to launch. Hope that makes sense. Let's move on and let's take a look at additional information. So we've introduced this business model canvas. We've introduced this lean model canvas. Now let's think a little bit more about this iteration process, this design thinking process about taking this idea back to the customer. And design thinking, it's a systematic approach to solving problems. We empathize with the customer. We think about what their pain is, what their problem is. We define that in very clear terms. We ideate, we prototype a solution, and then we test. In other words, we take it back out to the customer. And we get feedback, and we empathize, and we just keep doing this in a big loop over and over and over. And in this feedback loop, we keep refining it, and we get it better, and we get it better, and we get it better. And when we're finally ready to go, we launch. Now, our textbook describes another framework that says the 4 lenses strategic framework. It means that we've engaged our stakeholders, we've got cultural management inside of our organization, we've figured out what resources that we need to have in order to launch this company. We've mobilized them, we've got the knowledge that we need, we've done the networking to bring the synergies and people together so that we've brought all of the key people, all of the key partners, everything that we need. So if we go back to this business model canvas, we think about what key activities do we need to do to execute this value proposition, deliver the solution to the customer. And what key resources do we have in-house that allow us to execute these activities? And if we don't have those key resources in-house, then we've got to go find those key resources out of house. So the business model canvas helps us describe it this way. What key activities are necessary to deliver that solution, the value proposition? What resources do we have in-house to support those key activities? And what key partners do we need to contract out of house? So if we don't have those resources in-house to do it, we've got to have partners to do it. So either we've got the resources in-house to do those key activities, or we've got to get partners out of house to do those key activities. I like to use this example for this. In today's day and age, am I going to have any IT hardware in my business, or am I going to load everything up in the cloud? So other than maybe some desktop computers, laptop computers, we might have endpoint IT hardware, but are all of my servers going to be located up in the cloud? All of my IT hardware, all of my server infrastructure, I'm going to load that up in the cloud. That's going to be a key partner. I'm not going to build physical servers in my business. I'm going to have virtual servers as key partners. That's going to be cloud infrastructure to build the IT infrastructure for my business. I'm not going to build physical servers in my business. That way, as my business scales and grows, I just scale up my cloud infrastructure with a few clicks. That's a lot more powerful, a lot better than trying to build up servers on an in-house basis. And it's really easy on my cost infrastructure because for a few pennies, I spin up a new file server. For a few more dollars, I spin up a database server. For a little bit more dollars, I spin up a web server. And so those are key activities that I need to support my value proposition, but I'm doing it with key partners and I'm not building those key resources in-house. So we think about how am I going to build the synergies? What knowledge do I have? What resources do I need to mobilize and get ready? As we build out everything in our business plan, our strategic plan, we are going to use all of our different resources. And I can usually sketch these out on a single sheet of paper in my early ideation stage. We've got a sample napkin from Disney where Walt Disney sketched out the entire Disney business on a 10-inch by 10-inch diner cocktail napkin that showed the map of his entire business. So when we think about these frameworks, we've got the business model canvas, we've got the lean startup model, we've got design thinking, we've got 4 lenses strategic frameworks. These are tools that help us quickly ideate, quickly think through how are we going to structure our business model, and in most cases we can map them out, sketch them out, bullet point them out on nothing more than a quick sheet of paper or a digital piece of paper, and we can share them with other people. So we don't need a lot of big fancy tools, and we can just map all of them out. They become tools that we can use forever. So can we do action plan results, disaster planning? Can we do all kinds of strategic planning in our business? These tools become tools that you will use forever. They're just a natural part of how we are going to do our business. Now, as we want to get a little bit more sophisticated, when we start building out a business plan, we're going to do the basic things that we do as a natural part of strategic analysis. We're going to figure out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, what our opportunities and what our threats are. This is called a SWOT analysis. Again, this is just one framework. This is just one tool. Other people prefer to use a PEST analysis, and this analyzes political, economic, societal, and technological changes. And we started to build this skill set into our ideation tools. We wanted to be future vision looking. We wanted to think strategically about what political changes, what economic changes, what social demographic changes, what technological changes were going to be occurring. So we want to build these as natural skill sets so that they become part of your natural strategic thinking, so that as we are ideating and brainstorming new business ideas, they also become part of your natural strategic thought processes as you build businesses. When we want to look at how we create the best business ideas, we can think about our company and what product offerings that we have, and our customers and what our customers' unmet needs are, and what our competitors and their competitor offerings are. And if we look at the overlap between all three of those, we run into this little shaded box right in the middle. This is where our company is offering something and our competitors are offering something. Our customers' needs are being totally met there, not only by us, but our competitors. That's not a space that we really want to play in, because that's a space that competitors are playing in, we would be playing in. That's value parity. That's where customers, their needs are being totally met by multiple companies, by multiple competitors that are out there. We don't want to play in that space. We want to play in the space where customers have unmet needs and only our company is offering a solution. That's our marketing advantage. We also don't want to be playing in a space where we offer a solution and competitors offer a solution, but customers don't want it. Does that make sense? We don't want to be offering stuff that customers simply do not want. So figure out what your market advantage is, what customers have unmet needs that only we can offer, only we are going to be offering. We don't really want to be competing with our competitors any more than we absolutely have to. Otherwise, we're at value parity and we're competing with a whole bunch of companies that are already offering everything that our customers are already getting elsewhere. That's not something that we want to do. So the very first thing that we do when we move from ideation is that we start thinking about what that business model is. Is it going to be feasible? Is it going to be viable? Then we start refining that offering. We make sure that we understand who our customers are. We make sure we understand financial viability. And we make sure that we know what the infrastructure is that we need in order to be able to execute and deliver. We have to understand the business model, because that's going to frame the offering. It makes sure that we know who the customers are, and it determines financial viability. Google gives away search for free. And so if we think about their business model on one hand, they're giving away search for free. The flip side of that business model is that they're selling ads to what? Someone else. And so you have to understand who your customer is and what kind of business model that you are creating, because that determines what your offering is. So can you give away some of your product for free, just like Google gives away search, just like Google gives away YouTube, and create a separate client product like the advertising engine that Google uses for ads, and that services and financially supports YouTube and financially supports search. There we create financial viability, and it pays for that incredible IT infrastructure that powers Google, that powers YouTube. We need to think carefully about what the business model is and what our offering is, who our customers are, how we determine financial viability so that we can build out the infrastructure that we need to support our business. This is how we're going to begin to explore ideation, and we don't want to just assume that we're going to do it the same way that every other business in our industry is doing it. And so I'm going to encourage you to explore a lot of different business models this semester. I want you to explore things like Google doing it for free, giving away email, giving away workspace, giving away video, giving away search. Because is there an alternative revenue model someplace else that we can use to create the financial viability to support our business and our business offering? So this module, we are going to do our 2 assignments. We're going to create a disruptive or competitive business model and explore the viability of that business model, that business opportunity. And then we are going to go through and create this leap of faith assignment. And then we're going to create a value proposition for it. This is all going to lead up to what we're going to do in Module 4, because in Module 4, we're going to create your business model for your proposed business idea. This doesn't lock you in Module 4 for the business idea that you're going to create for the rest of the semester, but we're really going to try to narrow down in Module 4 the business idea that you will be building for the rest of your semester. So in a perfect world, you're going to choose your business idea, create a 30-second elevator pitch, describe what your customer value proposition, estimate what customers will pay, describe your business model, and plan for customer validation. So we're going to try to create a foundation in the next module for the business that you are going to develop for the rest of the semester. So use this module as your ideation testing. We get to explore good ideas and we get to explore bad ideas. And so far in our ideation exercises and activities, we've been working on this mindset of saying we're going to brainstorm and kill ideas fast. Brainstorm, kill, brainstorm, kill, brainstorm, kill. And I have a lunch date with my wife every single week where I pitch at least 10 ideas to her and she just goes, stupid, stupid, stupid. And what's that really doing? It just means that we are killing ideas really, really fast. And it's not that she's telling me that I'm stupid, it's just that we kill off bad ideas. And one of the greatest things that you can do is just to get in the habit of brainstorming ideas and exploring them and having the freedom to come up with good ideas and the freedom to come up with bad ideas, and never worrying one bit about whether someone's going to criticize an idea that you come up with. Because you know what? An idea that you come up with today, the technology might not be right. The social acceptance of that idea might not be right. Technological change, regulatory change, social change might not be ready for that idea today. And you know, that idea that was a bad idea today might be an awesome idea 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And you had the perfect opportunity to briefly explore it, brainstorm it through. And when the time is right, you're going to think back, you know, I thought about this and I wonder what it looks like today. And can you explore it again? And that's what gets really exciting and fun, is that we get to explore ideas over and over again because maybe something has changed. Is society now ready for it? Could be. Maybe something has changed. If we think about how society has changed, and we've gone through the legalization of marijuana, we've gone through THC. We've gone through all of the different perceived scientific, technological changes about how we now have the ability to break down the different components of marijuana. Are there opportunities for that as a business and an industry today? Absolutely. Were those opportunities available to people 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago? Probably not. So was it a viable idea 40 years ago? No. Is it a viable idea today? Do we have CBD gummies today that are absolutely incredible product ideas? Did that product idea exist in the 1980s or 1990s? No, because we didn't have the ability to separate CBD from THC. And so we need to have the freedom to explore ideas and never be afraid about whether it's a good idea or a bad idea today, because maybe it's an opportunity for us to explore something further on down the road. So I hope that you have fun looking at business model canvases and working through our simulations for this module. There will be a separate email out for part 2 for CleanStart Simulation that will actually have your CleanStart username and password. Your username is going to be your PIMA email address, and the email will actually have what your generic password will be for your login for the CleanStart simulation. And you will just be able to log in and play a simulation. I hope that you have a lot of fun with this module, and I look forward to seeing what you write up. Have a great week. If you need anything, reach out to me and touch base with me. Thanks.